Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and today I want to come to you with an update video on the ATF Pistol Brace Amnesty video series that I have been making over the past few months. I started out by saying, don't panic. We don't know what this final rule is going to look like, and before you start talking about armed revolution and not complying, let's just hold off a second and let's see what this whole thing is about, because it might not have anywhere to go once they publish it because it gets overturned the second day. Well, the ATF finally published the rule. We knew what was going to happen. We saw the paperwork on the ATF e-form system. Of course, a lot of people were saying it's a trap, and all these YouTubers out there were making videos where they give you just a little bit of information, but it's still very ambiguous, so you get fearful and you keep coming back to their video series every single day where they give you just a little bit of speculation, a little bit of ambiguity, no real answers, but it keeps you fired up, so you keep coming back and clicking on their videos. Well, I'm not here to make that type of video. I'm here to give you information, and hopefully good information, so you as a grown man and a grown woman can decide what you want to do. So in today's video, as you can see, I have what is now an SBR. This is the pistol that I said I was going to amnesty register. And yes, I did get my form back approved. Originally, this gun was a pistol. I had this pistol stabilizing brace and of course no vertical foregrip, but now I have the vertical foregrip and the stock on it because it is now legally an SBR and I can change those things out. And so, as I said, I want to make this video giving you the information that I have, things that I know, answer the frequently asked questions, tell you what I think is going to happen in the future, and discuss anything else about this that I think is important. But before we dive into this, I just want to ask you that before you type in the comment section, this guy sounds like a Fed, he sounds like an ATF agent, and all that kind of stuff, understand that me amnesty registering this was not my first rodeo. I have over 40 tax stamps. The ATF already knows I have a sizable collection of silencers, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, and even a destructive device. So me going through this process doesn't really give them any information that they don't already have. And I have lots of experience filling out Form 1s and Form 4s, even a Form 5, and transporting NFA items across state lines using ATF Form 20s. I've been doing this for over 10 years. So before you start posting things in the comment section, I want you just to open your mind to the possibility, and I know that doesn't sound like it's even possible, but maybe you don't know everything. Now, I'm not claiming that I know everything, and I am not an attorney, so don't take anything I say as legal advice. However, I have been doing this for some time. I understand the pitfalls of the NFA system and the law. I read Supreme Court opinions for fun. I've studied the 1934 National Firearms Act. I've read the 1968 Gun Control Act. I've read the 1986 Firearm Owners Protection Act. I am just always learning everything I can about the legalities of all this, what the future is for gun rights in America. And as I said, I've been in the NFA world for a while. I kind of have a lot of experience with this. So before you tell me that I'm wrong, just open your mind to the possibility that you might not know everything. And just because you saw something on some video somewhere and it kind of makes legal sense to you or some type of rationale, as I said, understand that you might not know everything. And I'm somebody that's been doing this for a while, and if you've never done this before, you have to agree you might not have all of the information. So before you comment, and I'm sorry for having to say this, just before you comment, ask yourself, do I really have all of the information, or am I just speculating? All right, so let's dive right into the video and what I know and don't know. And as you can see, this gun has been approved. Okay, so I did get the form back through the e-form system, and that did allow me to put on a stock and a vertical foregrip. I know some of you guys are going to ask, did I do it as a trust or as an individual? I did it as an individual. So I've understood that there are some problems with the trust. I personally have a trust that I made a long time ago, but most of my NFA items are done as an individual, and I should probably make another video about that and why I like to go the individual route over the trust route, even though a lot of lawyers and attorneys say, we'll go the trust route, but I think there's pros and cons to each, and I find that the trust route is a little bit more difficult for me personally. Here in Texas, I like to go the individual route, but that's another video for another day. I did submit photos when I submitted the application. I both showed the engraving that was on the firearm, and I showed a full picture of the firearm with the pistol stabilizing brace attached and without the vertical foregrip. So it was a pistol. It took about 45 days for them to approve, and as you can see from the forms, I did not receive a stamp, but the form is approved, and that is standard. So if you don't pay a tax, they're not going to affix a $200 stamp to any form and then cancel that stamp like they would on a regular Form 4. This is an amnesty registered gun, so there is no stamp, but you still get it approved. So that is what happened to me. I had no other issues. The ATF did not contact me asking for more information. They did not ask for more pictures. And by the way, speaking of those pictures, some people said they would not accept them because when I submitted the pictures, I had these iron sights attached to the pistol. They're not going to take that. It shows it's an SBR. Well, they still approved it with no problem. As I said, there was no issue. Now, I've done this many, many times, and some people are going to ask, where in the world do I go and see these forms? Well, Google ATF e-forms. You will see a link on there, and there'll be a big orange or red button that says if you want to submit a form using this ruling, click here. You got to sign up for the e-form system and put in your information and all that. That's where to go and get that information. So, as the gun sits, it is now legally an SBR. I did get it approved. As I mentioned, there is no stamp. Everything is good to go. I put on a stock and I put on a vertical foregrip. So I had no problem. The ATF didn't contact me. That's just the way it was, the way I was thinking it was going to happen. It happened in a pretty good, timely manner with no other issues. So that's what I think is happening to most people. Now, I'm a member of many Reddit groups and Facebook groups that deal with NFA items. And I know a lot of you are saying it's going to be mass non-compliance. Well, that's actually not what I'm seeing. I can tell you that there are a lot of people out there that are amnesty registering their firearms. Now, I know some of you are going to say this is bad, and I totally get it, and I do agree with you. However, many people were going to SBR these pistols eventually anyway. If you're not in the NFA world like I am, you don't really understand how this works. Many times people do buy pistols, ARs, AKs, CZ Scorpions, and so forth, with the intention of eventually down the road SBRing them. They were going to pay the money to SBR these things anyway, and all this does is give them the ability to get done what they were going to do without having to pay the tax, and many people are doing that. I mean, hundreds and thousands of people. I see the posts all over. So while you might think there's going to be mass non-compliance, well, there might be. I think there's going to be a sizable amount of people that are not going to go through with this, and I support them 100%. But there are a lot of people that are going through this process, and everything I can tell, no one is having any issues. The only time, from what I can tell, that the ATF has contacted anybody asking for more information was when people were trying to amnesty register firearms that typically don't have attached stocks or stabilizing braces to them. For example, like a Glock pistol. Normally, you can SBR those, but people don't attach stabilizing braces to them. So they might want to see a picture there. But everyone that has submitted photographs or forms with ARs, AKs, CZ Scorpions, B&Ts have had no problem whatsoever. So that's what I know, and that is my experience. You can use that information and go with it However you like. If you think this eases your mind and says, I'm going to go ahead and do this, great. If you still say it's a trap, that's great as well. Don't do it, but at least now you have the information that there are people out there getting forms back approved. So let's now go over a few of the frequently asked questions, and I'm going to ask that you watch until the end because I might answer your question. I don't like having to answer questions in the comments that I answer in the videos, and I know a lot of people in this really get impatient. Let's talk about the individual versus the trust. Now, as I said, I did this as an individual. It's easy because I'm the only person I have to worry about as the responsible person. I don't have to upload any documents, and of course, state laws are always changing regarding those. I don't have to have other family members have fingerprints and photos. I don't have to worry about any of that. For me, it's a lot easier. It is my understanding, however, that if you wanted to do this as a trust, you have to submit proof, and whatever that proof is, I don't know, and I don't know what the ATF is accepting as that proof, that your trust owned the pistol before you tried to amnesty register it and before the rule took effect. I don't know what information or documents they're asking for. You might have to contact an attorney about that, but that is why I say go as an individual, and almost everybody, I'm going to say 99.999% of people that I know that have submitted the amnesty registration paperwork have done it as an individual. So if you want to go as the trust, I don't have any information for you. I know it's difficult, and you're going to have to submit some type of document saying that you had it in your trust before January the 31st of 2023. I don't know how that works, but that is what you are going to be needing to submit to them if you want to do it as a trust. But I did mine as an individual. The next question I'm having to answer in almost every video is regarding the engraving. A lot of people, for some reason, if you've never built an SBR before, you've heard that you have to get your guns engraved. Now, all you have to do when you submit a regular Form 1, a tax-paid Form 1, is to put your name or your trust name and the city in which you reside somewhere on the firearm. And there's many companies that offer this laser engraving service. However, in this amnesty registration, they will accept just the engraving that is on the receiver. So you don't have to add anything else, and they're essentially treating it as though it was an SBR from the time it was created. So a factory SBR that is transferred to you on a Form 4 does not have to have any engraving done to it. So that's the way that they are treating these. You do not have to create your own serial number. You do not create any engraving. You don't have to have it engraved whatsoever. And some of you guys are wondering, where did you get that information? Well, I got it from the ATF's own website and the frequently asked questions. You do not have to have this engraved at all. Now, when I did submit the paperwork, I mentioned I did have photographs. I mentioned I showed the engraving and I showed the complete firearm. Some people in my previous videos have said, that's absolutely stupid because now they know what the gun looks like. You're giving them more information. They can get all the information that they need when you submit the paperwork when it comes to just the engraving. For example, this is an Anderson Manufacturing AM15. They already know what that receiver looks like. They know what guns typically look like, and they already got the serial number. They already know you're amnesty registering a pistol. So the only reason they're asking for photographs is to just pretty much ensure that what you have is actually a pistol or some type of firearm with a pistol stabilizing brace on it, and not some type of weird contraption that's not typically considered something in this category of firearms. That's all they're really looking for. Now, do you have to submit photos? The answer is maybe. Now, the reason that I submitted it is I didn't want the ATF emailing me later and slowing down the process asking for more information. Now, there are people that have not submitted photographs because what they are trying to register is a common thing, like this AR-15 pistol here, this AM-15 by Anderson Manufacturing. They already know what it is. Now, some people have not submitted photographs at all and have gotten approved. I just submitted it because I felt it might be an issue later. They might contact me. It would just streamline the process. So you don't have to submit photos, but it's one of those things like on the ATF 4473 when you buy a gun at a gun shop. It says, we would prefer it if you put your social security number on this form, but it's optional. It just would clear up any confusion when it comes to a background check. Well, that's what the photographs are. It's not necessarily required. They may come back and ask for them, but you don't give them any information that they don't already have or can't figure out from just the form alone. Another question I get asked a lot is, should I wait? Jason, you were stupid for filling out the form so early and amnesty registering that. When they overturn that in the courts, you're going to be a felon and they're going to come arrest you. No, they're not. And the reason I wanted to do this early is because I wanted to get this information out to you as quickly as possible. As I'm filming this right now in mid-March of 2023, we're about halfway through this implementation period. Now, as time gets closer, the only issue that I think we could have is something that was very similar to what happened in California when they recently implemented increments to their assault weapon bans. Well, you could register them online, and a lot of people waited until 11:59 of whatever the day was when you had to register them on the next day at midnight. Well, guess what? When the system got overrun, a lot of people could not register them. So, if you plan on going through this process, I think it is something that you need to take into consideration. Right now, no courts have overturned this, and there are no cases immediately pending to overturn this. So if you wait until the very last day you can do this, the system most likely will be down, because if you've ever dealt with the ATF e-form system, honestly, I think it's run by a hamster in a wheel. That's how it's powered. It is like going back in time on the internet to 1998. It is that slow. It is that bad. So if you have hundreds of thousands of people trying to register millions of guns on one day, the system will be down and you will miss the deadline. But if you want to wait, that's perfectly fine too. I am not telling you what to do or what not to do. But that's why I wanted to get this done early, because the earlier I got it done, the earlier I could get you the information and most likely not have the system overrun with all of these registrations that could slow it down possibly for months. The next question I get asked is, should I keep the brace? I say yes, because as I said, we don't know what's going to happen. In fact, do I think this is going to get overturned in the courts? I actually really do. I really think there's going to be some type of stay on this until it's fully adjudicated, and most likely it's going to get overturned because of the recent Supreme Court Bruin decision. So what's going to happen to all the guns that were amnesty registered when this thing gets overturned? Well, that's a question I don't have any answers to. They might be allowed to be kept as SBRs. The stamps might get revoked. I have no idea, but because we have no idea, if you decide to take off the brace, I would definitely keep the brace, because let's just say it gets overturned, your stamp gets revoked. No, you're not going to be a felon overnight. No, they're not going to come smashing your door at 2 a.m. They're just probably going to send you an email and go, hey, your stamp got revoked. You have 48 hours to return it to the pistol configuration before you registered it. So I could take off the vertical foregrip, I could remove the stock and put back on this brace and be just fine. There would be no issue whatsoever. So should you keep the brace? I absolutely would. And I would probably keep it for quite some time, even if this never gets overturned in the next year. Just have it on hand just in case. You won't be in any trouble. These are not regulated. You're completely allowed to continue possession of them. And if you really wanted to, you could put it back on the firearm. If you put on a stock, it's not really that big of a deal. So definitely keep your braces. And that comes to the last thing I've been asked a lot, which is what's going to happen when this thing gets overturned. Honestly, it is the one thing that I have no answers for. I don't see anything in the frequently asked questions or the regulations that say, hey, if this is ruled unconstitutional, this is what's going to happen. But I can promise you, if it is overturned, they're not going to come and confiscate your gun in the middle of the night. They might just ask you to turn it back into the pistol configuration it was before the amnesty registration, if you've changed it at all. They're not going to keep that information. I know a lot of people say you are way too trusting of the ATF, okay? But as I said, I have been doing this for a long time, and I have a huge collection of NFA items, and I have friends that have collections that dwarf mine. So essentially they have hundreds, if not 200 NFA items. I am not joking in any way. They are huge collectors, from machine guns, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, silencers, all. They have massive collections. And when I talk to them, hey, has the ATF ever come to your door? No. Have you ever seen an ATF officer? No. Have they ever asked for other information why you have so many? No. A lot of times the ATF only cares about getting the tax money. And if this is overturned, they're not going to keep your information and go, we're going to keep an eye on him. Because, once again, there is that federal regulation that says any information that is collected through a NFA form cannot be used against you in the court of law. It cannot be used in an investigation of criminal activity. It cannot be. So I wouldn't worry about that at all. So that is what I know. That is the frequently asked questions. And yes, this thing got approved. So there you go. I'm still here making videos. The ATF didn't come and arrest me. They didn't accuse me of being a felon. They didn't ask for more photos. They didn't call me. No agents showed up at my door. And this seems to be the same story that is being told by many people, as I said, on Reddit and on Facebook. And if you don't believe me, and by the way, I don't want any of you to take any of the information that I am giving you at face value. I am begging you, please go out and do your own research. Go talk to other people that you personally know and trust that may have gone through this process as well, and see what they have to say. Go on Facebook, join those NFA groups, go to Reddit, check out all of the NFA groups and what they're saying as well, and their documented experiences. Don't take anything I say as fact, especially if you don't believe me and you think I'm some type of ATF agent or law enforcement official or whatever. Go do your own research. The worst thing you can do is go through your emotions and be like, I'm not going to comply. Everything is evil. They're coming. They're going to kill everybody. This is the armed revolution we've been talking about for 250 years. Before you go off the deep end, before you make yourself look foolish online and post things that make you look uneducated, go do your own research and open your mind to the possibility that you don't know everything. That just because some YouTuber somewhere gave you an ambiguous piece of information and made you panic might not be the end-all and be-all of all the information regarding this subject. Just open your mind to that possibility. You know, scientists that believe certain theorems, like in astrophysics, are open to the possibility that what they believe is wrong. Because one day the math may prove them wrong, but it helps them grow. And I think that as gun owners and navigating these waters, we have to be the same way. We have to make sure that we understand that there is a possibility, even if it is very, very small, that we don't know everything, and what we assume or what sounds like it makes logical sense might not actually be the truth. And when you come to that realization, your mind is open to learn. You might discover that what you believed originally was correct, but you also might discover that what you believed was incorrect. Always have your mind open. So I hope this video helps somebody. I hope I answered the frequently asked questions. And as I said, I'm sitting here, still alive, not in jail, and I have the form to prove this thing was registered. Oh, and one more thing I'm just remembering that sometimes people are asking me. Once you get the email showing that the form is approved, no, you will not receive a tax stamp in the mail because you did not pay a tax. And no, you will not receive a form in the mail. Your e-form is the form itself, the PDF that they send you. It is the exact same process for all Form 1s and Form 4s that are tax paid that have been going through the system for years. So it will not show a stamp. You will not get a stamp in the mail. You will not get anything in the mail, nothing paper. You will get a PDF form, and that form will remain on your ATF e-form account in perpetuity. You can print it. You can do whatever it is you want with it. I recommend having digital copies on your phone, maybe put it on a secure place like a Dropbox or some type of cloud storage, print it and have hard copies as well. But that will be the form itself. You will not get anything in the mail. So there you go. I answered your questions, told you what happened, and gave you the latest update in what I know. I'll make another one of these videos if I learn anything in the future, if this thing gets overturned in the courts, and what happens to all of the registered SBRs that used to be pistols. I'll give you all of that information as I discover it. So I hope this video helps people. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. So, as always, thanks for watching.